All right, this is the third session. We're on the home stretch. Just want to give you a couple things as it relates to fire safety and electrical safety, and then we're going to be doing a summary, and we'll be done. So this is for all of your churches because you have people in the sound booth, and you have people who run sound and production. And so if you run sound and production, you're watching this. I'm not sorry if I offend you, okay? But I want you to know that this is, even though I know you do this, and I know why you do this, these little adapters that you put on the end of a 3-prong cable to turn into a 2-prong, the way those are meant to be used is you remove the screw of the outlet, not the extension that you're using. You remove the screw of the outlet, you plug it in, and then you screw it in so it gets a ground that way. These are not meant to just do away with grounds. Grounds are what protect equipment and people, okay? Mostly equipment. But the ground is what keeps you from shocking people and electrocuting and stuff like that. So when you use one of these without using this little tip ring on it and screwing that in, you've now done away with a safety feature. And yes, you may get rid of the hum that you had because of the ground loop, but you also put your equipment and your people at risk. So don't do that. Find out what's really causing your ground loop and don't take a shortcut. Okay? Did that answer your question over there, Angela? Angel, sorry.
It's okay. It's only been 6 months.
Oh,
okay.
yes, there you go. Treat me like I should be. Okay, carry on. All right, there we go. Next. Starts with an A, so does Alderman. Okay, where should you use a GFCI? We talked about this during the break, so I just want to make sure it gets on the tape. GFCIs are really for protecting people. A ground fault circuit interrupter is for protecting people. So when one trips, when it trips, don't just go up and push the little button on the outlet and reset it. Find out what caused it to trip. If you should, whatever was plugged into it somewhere. And by the way, it's not all. Many times these are within the building or even outside the building. Usually, there's several of them linked. With one of them is the primary, and then the others are secondary outlets that are linked to that GFCI. So if it trips, you need to check your other outlets, see what's plugged into, and see what caused it to trip. Don't just push the button again, because the next time, who knows, if it's tripped a couple times, the GFCI may not trip when it needs to. Someone could get shocked. So it's important. Okay. It senses a small amount of current and it trips or opens the circuit to prevent damage to people. So GFCIs are more important for protecting people. Your regular ground and your breakers, that's for protecting equipment and reducing the odds of a fire. That's what those are for.
Are those the ones that are required to be around the water source?
Yes. Well? GFCIs they're the ones that are in your kitchen, they're in your bathroom. Those are GFCIs. Okay? All right. Extension cords, I already talked about those and daisy chains. Inspecting of cords. If you have a missing, the third prong is missing, either throw it away or buy a new end and put on it that will get you your ground back. Okay, don't use them with the broken thing. If they're broken or if they're cracked or open, someone will get shocked. It will cause a fire sooner or later, so don't use it. Okay. And what we do here at the church, by the way, if we have one that's got a problem, we go back to maintenance. They have a stack of good ones hanging on the wall. We grab one of those and we turn the bad one into Jeff, and then they just repair it and put it back into stock. Okay? All right. I want you to see this. This is permissible uses of flexible cords. Hanging from the ceiling if it's built this way, plugged in an outlet. These are just this is both something that's movable and some that's stationary plugged in. These are all legal. Then I want to show you what's illegal. I showed you the legal first so you could see this. We don't pass regular cords through a wall. Okay? Nor do we set them up as permanent. We don't permanently use extension cords. See how this one has clamps on it? That's illegal. Right? Cords are always meant to be a temporary thing. If you're going to have a permanent situation, then you need to go ahead and run the conduit, or to do it properly so that you're meeting all of the safety regulations. If a fire inspector comes in and he sees that you have mounted something, even if it's just plastic tie wrap screwed into the wall, if you've mounted it permanently, then he's going to call attention to that and we will pay for that. Okay, we can be fined. Then I have some clues for electrical hazards. You can read this for yourself. We want to keep our extinguishers fully charged in operable condition, keeping them in designated places with proper markings. We have an annual maintenance date on them that's retained, and we keep that record for a year afterwards, okay? Okay. Types of extinguishers. The only thing I care about on this is that when it comes to extinguishers, dry chemical can generally do everything, and that's what we have in all of our locations. The only time that you'll have the other type, CO2, is usually when people are trying to protect electrical equipment because it won't do damage like water will. Water will destroy electrical equipment. But dry chemical won't necessarily hurt the electrical equipment, but all of that powder and all that stuff in there is just a big mess. And so they try to avoid that with electrical. So electrical usually uses CO2.
Dry chemical isn't corrosive?
Not necessarily. Depends on the dry chemical they're using.
Okay.
Okay, but but for electrical equipment, that's why dry chemical is fine, CO2 is fine. Again, the reason they would use CO2 versus this is just to keep things clean.
Okay.
If you have a clean room situation, but frankly, if we do have next door, we've got a small room that's nothing but all the audio, visual, and all that equipment and racks. In there, we would like a CO2 type of extinguisher in the room.
Okay.
So that were we to have a fire situation, we can put it out and there'll be no damage whatsoever to anything else. And there's no residue with
That's
CO2.
good. Yeah.
Okay?
Now, what do you have in here? Do you have sprinklers?
In here, these are dry chemical. You see right through that door, right behind you? Okay? And see this one right here?
No, I mean, for the building facility?
Oh, the building
do you have
itself does have a
sprinklers?
sprinkler system, yes.
Sprinklers, so it's just water?
Yeah, just water.
Not halon.
No. No.
Yeah, okay.
Frankly,
That didn't be out.
very few places use halon anymore.
Okay.
It's because it's a disaster for people.
Yes.
It kills people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they try to minimize the use of that.
Gas in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. But when it comes to a place like, we have dry chemical all over the place here.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions on extinguishers? Okay, I did give you this. This is part of normal instruction with how to use an extinguisher. The pass, where you pull it, aim at the base, squeeze the handle, and sweep side to side. If you've ever had any kind of fire extinguisher training, I'm sure you heard that before. Okay, and I'm not going to go into all the first aid procedures and all these things. Okay. This is just giving you the locations. The only reason I'm giving you this, same thing I would do in any other class, is to give you more resources you can go to if you end up being the person who's responsible for the fire extinguishers or things in the building. In our building, Jeff Pisanta is the maintenance guy. He's the one that meets with our fire inspectors. He's the one that has all these regulations written down. And then his only thing is interaction with all of our admins, is to make sure that they know where the exit things are, and then if he arranges or I arrange to have, say, our facility people to do a walk down, then he's just making sure they're aware of how to do what, and they report to him any of their findings.
What
Yes.
actually happens when you hit that red alarm system when you pull it down? What
Yeah,
happens?
the alarm starts going and the flashing lights are all over the place. So all of we have like right here. See, this alarm is very, very, very loud.
Yes.
And I'm not going to pull that,
No, no.
okay? And the lights are flashing, so you have both sound and light on all of our panels.
But that doesn't activate the sprinkler system?
No.
Okay, that's somebody else that does that.
The sprinkler system is set up so that if there's a heat source
Got it.
under it, then it's going to trigger it, and it'll just rain. But it's very much isolated to the room. You don't have, if we had the fire alarm go off in here, it wouldn't set them off all over the building and ruin everything. Okay?
Are these linked to the fire department or anything?
Yes. Yes, our fire, both our fire and our security systems are linked to the fire and the police. We will have, if you set off our security alarms in here go off, we get a phone call within 2 minutes from the sheriff's department. What's going on? Is this a false alarm? Do we need to respond? Okay.
Who resets it?
Uh, As far as resetting the fire alarm, it's our guys are able to do it, our maintenance guys, and we have a couple of panels. There's depending on which building, there's a panel in each of our 3 main buildings here, and they're able to reset them. They're able to also able to, for instance, in the AWC, because we use during service those. You talked about halons, messed me up now, but those smoke machines that we use for the music and for the lights. So we're able to secure the fire system while they're doing it, and then they reactivate it as soon as they're done.
Okay.
Otherwise, that smoke would set off the thing, and then you have alarms, and it's really embarrassing in the middle of service. So, okay, all right. So summary, bum bum bum. Big thing that we want to do is understand how to prevent emergencies, understand emergency response. Only use firefighting equipment if you're trained to do it. That's what I'm talking about. There is the fire extinguishers. There if you haven't had the training, you're not supposed to do it. Honestly, for most people, if the fire alarm goes off, you just get outside.
Right.
The people who are going to use an extinguisher know who they are.
Yeah.
Okay. You know your role in evacuation. I just said that. And I encourage people to apply this at home. If you don't already have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen, get one. All right, and then know how to use it and keep it up to date. I was taught one of the first times I taught this class years ago. I said, "Oh, I've got an extinguisher." And I go home and it had expired 5 years before. It was like I could have, I went outside, went nice. So yeah. So. And honestly, that's whenever I taught my kids how to just, I said, we keep this box of baking soda in the fridge, dump
Yeah.
Oh.
dump the baking soda and you're good to go, or if the fire's on top of it in a frying pan, put the lid on it,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
or throw water on it. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's right everywhere. All right, it's hilarious, good fun. Okay. I'm not going to go into the whole developing the volunteer and safety team. I will give it to you in the notes. I do like the idea of, in any of our teams, we aim to get people who have some people skills. And frankly, on safety team, it's important. This is important, so I want to say it. If you're going to de-escalate a confrontation with somebody, how do you do that? Somebody is worked up, angry. How do you calm them down? Now, it's easier if you're twice their size. It's not fair, okay? It's like, I'll sit down. No. Okay, but I'm sorry. You're a natural, okay? But for the rest of us, when we have somebody, and frankly, even John would do the same thing. If you had somebody who's worked up, how do we approach him?
Calm.
Yes. Go ahead. What else?
Soft-spoken. You don't want to be louder than they are.
Mm-hmm. Definitely don't want to escalate it. Don't want to be defensive. It's like, I really like bringing the how can I help? What can I do to help you? Hey, and what do you need? Is there anything that we can do to support you, to encourage? We want to encourage. It's the stuff that we should be doing, loving people anyway.
Yeah.
But we can really just de-escalate. But arguing is not going to work. The other thing is you immediately, you know who your team members are. Even if it's not a team, if you know somebody. Even if David was not on my usher team and I had somebody who was irate, I'd be like, hey, Dave. I just give it so that we could be side by side. And now it's 2 people that he's talking to. So it's less opportunity for him to direct all of his anger and frustration at one person.
Right.
There's a piece of that says, look, okay, now there's 2 people that maybe care or maybe just want to disarm me, whatever. But there's still there's a little bit of safety in numbers that way. There definitely is.
Yeah,
And
that's not the time to say, you know, like you say, don't be argumentative, just be in agreement with them.
Mhm.
After you got them calmed down, whatever you can, you know, figure out where to go. But the main thing is to just de-escalate whatever they're feeling and say, yes, you're right, or whatever, what can we help you with? Because my brother's an airline pilot, and you can imagine when you're on an airplane, you know, at altitude, and the flight attendants are calling you back, and essentially get the captain, you know, there, or whoever's the federal agent on board. But he says that's the main thing, like you said, Marvin.
Mhm.
Find out what is their concern.
Yeah.
And then just say anything to appease them and say, you know, you're right, I can understand where
Yeah.
you're coming from.
Right.
Because that's all they really want. They're just at this breaking point.
People want to be heard.
Yes.
Many times it's just they want to be heard, and somebody actually listens. It's the active listening, and even repeating back to them, making sure I understand what you said or what you're, you know. And if uh, like I mentioned, I don't remember if it was on the break or not, but we had a husband show up. You know, he and his wife going through a divorce. She's inside, he's outside, and he's irate and she's scared. I mean, it's like, yeah. This is not going to work. Neither one of you is going to be able to get anything out of this service if all you're focused on is how angry you are at them. So would you please, and just being very polite and kind, loving, all those things can really de-escalate. I know that there are people who may show up that are demonized, who are angry and all this stuff. And so our job is to have a united front and move them. There's another function of this. All of our campus, well, I'm pretty sure even Vieira, you have slide locks, don't you, at the doors, at your entrances, don't you? I think so. I know we have at Cocoa, we have here at the Parkway and at the Avenue, slide locks to be able to isolate. As a matter of fact, even in the hallway out here, separating the front and the back of the building, we actually have those over the main double doors. All right. The reason I'm bringing that up is this: if someone we recognize that they've got a serious issue, and obviously normal de-escalation is not helping. At least if 2 or 3 of us gather together and help to isolate them and help to move them, then we're going to reduce, instead of having perhaps a crowd of people that they could attack, now it's just down to 2 or 3. And this is the last thing I wanted to share with you as far as from an usher, greeter, men of the church standpoint. Ladies too, I'm not minimizing that, but as far as protection, is that whether I'm armed or not, armed is not nearly as important as the numbers. If you've got one shooter, and it's in all these, I've never seen multiple shooters, but say they did, it doesn't change it that much. But if you have one shooter, he has one gun, even if it's a shotgun. If 5 guys jump up and run at him, because you saw that church. I'm going to show a quick video of this. We're going to end this thing, okay? But it's showing a church where they were training their staff how to respond. But if you have the police even are trained, if you have a shooter, you seek cover, you get behind cover, and then you prepare to fire. That's not going to work in this situation. Right? If you seek cover and fire, now he's still up here. He's the one up here who's got the gun, and he's picking out targets. And they're all hiding, cowering in fear from him. Okay? But if he pulls up the weapon, he starts firing, and then guys jump up in 5 different locations and start rushing him, he's not going to hit any of them. And if he does hit one of them, he's probably not going to kill him. He may injure him because he's going to be like, he's got too many targets. All right, so we're actually going to rush him. We jump up and rush him. I don't care how old you are, how slow you are, whatever. The fact is that he's got 4 or 5 or more guys rushing him at once. It's how they took out the terrorists who were trying to take down the White House on 9/11. Yes, the plane was lost, but we did not lose the White House.
Right.
And we did not have massive destruction of our country. They stopped the terrorists because guys with no weapons at all rushed a guy with a gun. Okay? So we can do that. And so to me, if we discuss it on our team and we say, In the event, it's probably never going to happen, but in the event it happens, we are determined this is our response. Okay? And if you're talking to somebody and say, look, I don't think I could do that. I don't want to do it. Okay. Then let's get you on the greeter team. Let's get you on something where
Yes.
but let's make sure that the one who's in there is going to be part of the watchdog protecting the flock. Okay? All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead for you. This is, wait a second. Brotherhoodmutual.com is another resource I was giving you. It's actually on your slide, so I won't have to read it to you. I already talked about emergency medical response, folks, security response. We are sheepdogs, gatekeepers, men at the tower. We're prayed up, frontline personnel who choose to interact with people and who are situationally aware. And yes, we are profiling. We're looking. There's nothing wrong. Profiling is not a bad thing. All right. It's saying that somebody stands out. There's something different. And because it's different, I'm paying attention. Okay. That's all that really is.
I like that first one too, about prayed up, because we have to remember that Jesus is with us. God
Oh,
is
yeah.
with us. He's our shield, and He will not have things go bad again.
And Holy Spirit. See, we have an unfair advantage over the devil.
Yes, we do.
Okay?
Yes.
We're able to count on Holy Spirit to highlight for us. That person may be dressed perfectly, but something seems off. I'm encouraging our ushers and greeters and safety team to say, if it seems off, you're paying attention and you're notifying so that more than one person is paying attention. And this is how it works in my house. Now, this is not even a safety thing, but my wife, I trust Holy Spirit in her. She's very sensitive to people. And so if she tells me something's off about that, I'm paying attention because she spoke it. Okay? I may not have even felt it. I may have been paying attention. I was so distracted by all the things I have to do to prepare for service and all these other things. I wasn't even thinking about that dude over there. But if she says there's something up there, I'm going to pay attention. Okay? And so that's another piece of this. Okay? Okay. Verbal de-escalation. Body language is 80% of this. Having a space, a reactionary gap so that we can do something. Don't be so close or allow them so close that they're able to control you or the situation. We are empathetic. We repeat what they're saying to us, repeat it back to them. We offer them options, and we always leave them a way out. We don't surround them and put it in a place where they feel that they're under attack. Instead, we're opening it up. We're encouraging them this way. We're come with me, walk with me. How can I help? What can I show you? How can I support you? But we're not making them feel that they're like a caged animal. You do that, they're going to react that way. Our disruptions are handled per our policy. You have to identify what your pastor determines a disruption. I'll give you an example. Over here in the Parkway, we had, for several years, had a young fellow who was mentally challenged, that he would sometimes speak out in church and sometimes act out a little bit. And Pastor Dan said, that's not a big deal. All right. We know him in a situation. And so our team used to ignore it. Okay? Because he determined this is not a disruption. Same thing. I would hate it if one of our greeters or ushers jumped up because some lady had a crying baby and said, ma'am, you take that kid out of here. I would really hate that so much. Okay? But even though it's a disruption, it's one that we're willing to work with because we're living with people. Okay? Shielding or the pastor or guarding. Your usher or greeter who's in the front row up there. You look to the pastor because he should be the one, he or she's the one that you're going to take your cue from, whether it's serious or not. But be willing to step in there because many times people will, because the pastor is the leader, they're the ones that they want to hurt. Okay, so be willing to step in there. Okay, I've already talked about alarms and all these other things. Okay. Okay, I have a note here. This says security team leaders or church leaders need to be willing to remove someone from a security position if it appears guidelines are not being followed or there's a concern about the manner in which the role is being fulfilled. It's not easy, especially with volunteers, but sometimes it's necessary. And I guess, yeah, this is the last thing is I wanted to, if somebody, it's like this. If you have someone, if someone's a manager because they like to control people, you don't want them in management. Okay? If someone is a police officer because they like to be everybody's daddy, you really don't want them to be in the position of authority. Okay? So if somebody is treating it as an opportunity to exert their influence or who they are and lift themselves up or put people down, then we have to have the hard conversation and pull them out. Okay? Let them know that's not acceptable. We are a place that's all about grace and mercy and love, and we're not about controlling and manipulating people. Okay, I want to give you this. This is the last thing for the day. I'm not sure the video will work, so I may have to go over to the other screen, bring it up. Sometimes videos don't want to, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to take and cut ahead. This is a training video for churches, so I'm going to just jump a little further ahead of this. Oh, so I went too far. You went too far. You knew too much. Okay. All right.
Can you turn on the captioning on the other corner when you get back to the video?
Yes.
Found it.
All right, here we go. I'll try to get it. I may have to break it, get it to work. There's what I wanted. I wanted to drag this over to, if it will let me. It's not letting me do it. I'm going to open it up separately because I wanted to be able to control it better because it takes 3 minutes. We could just watch it, but the best part is, let's go here. There. Now I can have some control over it. Okay. Really doesn't want to let me do that way. Okay, fine. And we'll just watch it. Okay. Now, this may affect the video for the one that we put online by playing it in class. But the idea is this. About what he's going to do is he's going to lead us into a situation. It's a church, it's a practice, but they're looking at how people naturally respond. They've got everybody wearing vests and things to
In the first video of this series, Ron Aguiar gave the security.
let it go. See if you can work it. I'm going to pause my
Now
video.
we're going to put that training to the test with a scenario.
I'm not sure I can.
Okay, Tom, Pastor John, we got some training from Ron Aguiar. I want you to get ready for this first scenario. Remember what he told you to do.
There you go.
Tom, all we need from you now is where do you want to sit?
Kevin, I want the best view of the whole church. I'm sitting in the front, off to the side.
Okay, let's get ready to do this. I'm really looking forward to how this security team reacts, and my idea is that I don't think they're going to react quickly enough. We understand that when we put somebody into the proving ground, they're expecting something bad to happen. And typically, a lot of people come into this situation, they don't understand what's happening, and the typical response in the real world is, I don't understand what's happening, I can't believe it's happening, and then finally they get to, oh my, this is happening, I need to do something about it. So I'm assuming that the security team is going to take a little bit of time to spring into action. And at that point, I'm hoping that they do exactly what they need to do, which is put accurate fire on this bad guy and stop him immediately.
I think congregational members will respond like they do in a mall or a large setting. If an active shooter comes into a facility or into their area, they're going to do what they normally do. Sometimes people will hide, sometimes people will run. But in a church setting, I think the same reaction is going to occur. We don't know what everybody does, but I think individually they'll respond accordingly.
to church as if you were going to church.
Okay, now they're coming in, Terry. The disadvantage that we have today is you've got one security team in the whole church. And that's, you just need 2 or 3 guys, so to respond to an incident. One guy just can't do it.
We'll see how Tom reacts,
Right.
whether he moves quickly or, we haven't talked about de-escalation.
Right.
That he needs the opportunity
That's right.
when this happens. So,
And we'll see how quickly he responds.
and I'm kind of interested in seeing if he directs others as well.
That's right.
He's got to face a threat, but there's still 25, 30 feet up in the room already.
Right.
Good morning and welcome to church this morning. My name is Pastor John, and as we get started this morning, I've got a few announcements I kind of want to go through and make you aware of some different things that have been going on in the community and keep us up to date as to some different things that are happening. We're so excited about some different things that are coming up this fall. We've got a brand new Thursday evening service that is starting. Also, many of you have attended our Revelation study and have so greatly enjoyed that. That's also going to be starting up here in September, and we're looking forward to the start of that. If you have other questions or information that you're looking for as you continue to come in, we've got bulletins that are available for you that have all the information that you're looking for about different events and activities, and to keep you ready for some different things going on. The great thing about being able to reach every month and every opportunity that I get is I have the opportunity to share with you some of my life and to share with you some of what God has done in my life. God! This is all your fault! Everybody get back where you're going! Sit over here. Get back where you're going! Hey, everybody sit down! Sit the down! All right, get over here. Anybody got something to say? Anybody got something to say? Huh? Anybody? Yeah!
Okay, is everybody good? We're down? All right. Anybody hurt? Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling okay. Everybody got a thumbs up? Tom, come on in. Pastor John, come on in. White, can you come on over here? Want to just do a quick little recap about where everybody went, what everybody saw. Tom, start with you. Why'd you do what you did when you come across?
When I first saw him get his weapon out, I yelled gun. Initially engaged the subject in this area, trying to get some cover behind the chair. He went that way, I came over here reloading, put more rounds towards him, and then I ran out eventually and had him.
Okay, you were running out of ammo?
Yeah.
And fair enough. Pastor John, what did you see and what happened for you?
Yeah, when he pulled the weapon out, I made my way across the stage and saw people trying to get out through a non-exit, and so I encouraged people to make their way to the correct exit so they could actually go out of the building, and then I followed them out.
All right, did you see what was happening in here, or were you just busy helping?
No, I was trying to keep an eye on where Tom was headed as he was going across and where the shooter was going, just to make sure that I could try to get people across as safely as possible.
And Wyatt, I saw that, typical of an untrained shooter, you had some trouble with your concealment there.
Well, I got caught him there, but the secondary.
Right,
Was
and
able to.
the second firearm you brought into play out that way. That would have been a perfect time for you to crush that distance. And instead of create distance and get cover, get up on him and be shooting at him. He might be trying to shoot through his umbrella or tied up. And in a big group setting like this, we need to stop him as quickly as possible. So accurate shots much closer might be a little bit better. So, but I know that all of the training as a law enforcement officer is create distance, look for cover, engage, reload, and you show them gun right away. You let everybody know what was going on. I don't think anybody in here was confused about what was happening. They're pretty sure, correct? So may have been an opportunity while Tom was engaging from over here if an armed shooter wanted to engage, but you have to be very careful. We're responsible for all the rounds that go down range. This was a good scenario. You guys all did a great job. Thank you very much.
I'm Kevin McLeod.
All right.
I had
So-
a guy in the trench coat pinned as the shooter.
Yeah, and they put that purposely for Tom
Yes,
to
like,
have
he didn't
a
necessarily
to have his eye on the wrong place.
Right.
Yeah, but it's the thing is not everybody's going to look like what
Right.
you expect. You know, and there would honestly, if I was going to try and do something, I wouldn't want to look like that I was going to do something. I'd want to be in disguise. So anyway, I saved that for last as just to give you a heads up. Yes, sir.
Security was up in the front row.
Uh-huh.
It's always looking back.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better for him to be in the back?
I think that was his choice because he was screwed, but he was just one guy. We're better off with 2 or 3 people than we are with just the one. I think that he was trying to be able to see the faces, and that's why he was up front. To me, it's why we want to have a team approach. We have a couple or 3 people. As some people are coming in, the more people that are aware of the people who are coming in, the better. And so I'm.
And situational awareness too. Here's
Yeah.
a guy with an umbrella. Was there even a need for an umbrella then?
Well, there was somebody else had an umbrella.
Say again?
There was other people that had umbrellas.
Oh, they did?
Remember, there was a woman that walked through the door. She had an umbrella with her too.
Oh,
Okay, so yeah, I'm totally with you. It's paying attention, and that's really what it is. And this is why, again, we're talking about because it's safety and or the ushers. This is strictly about giving them awareness to be paying attention. That's all this is for, above anything else. All right, so that's really what I had to share today. As far as those of you who are taking this for credit, we're going to go walk through on this little quick safety walk down in the back, and then you have a quiz to do online, I think. 80% of your grade was just showing up today, and there's just a short quiz, and that's that. For John and the rest of you, David from the various campuses, was it Robert? Okay. See, I even did. Angel, I did even better with him. I apologize. Anyway, the fact of the matter is we have tools and some other resources for you. I gave you some links while you were here, but if you'd like to, I will gladly have those. If it hadn't been for the printer issue, I would have had them for you this morning, but I'll get them to you if you want them. Just send a note to Casey or call her at extension 102, and she'll get those to you through your admin. I'm not going to give them, print them unnecessarily, because they'll just end up sitting on a file cabinet for a year until we do the class again. But if you want them, she'll gladly get them into your hands, okay? All right, that was it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.